practice 8-2, multiplying and factoring. So for the first few problems, we want to simplify each product. So what that basically means is you're going to be distributing. So you're doing 4 times a, which is 4a, and we keep the minus, and then we do 4 times 3, which is 12. So this is your answer for number 1, 4a minus 12. For number 4, once again, we're distributing, so we have negative x squared times negative 2x squared. So remember, when you're multiplying variables, you're going to add the exponents and multiply the big numbers. So over here, this has an invisible negative 1 in front and negative 2. So we have negative 1 times negative 2, that's positive 2, x, and 2 plus 2 is 4, so 2x to the 4th. Now we want to do negative 1x squared times 3x to the 1st. There's an invisible exponent of 1. So we're doing negative 1 times 3, which is negative 3, x, and we are going to add 2 plus 1, so that's 3. So 3x to the 3rd, and then we have our last one, negative 1 times negative 2, that's positive 2, and then x squared. So this is your answer for number 4. Okay, for number 7, we're finding the greatest common divisor of the terms in each polynomial. So basically what that means is we're looking for the biggest number that we can divide both numbers by. So what we're going to do is we're going to list the factors of them both and see what they have in common. So we have 8x, which we can break down to 2 times 4, actually let's use a dot instead of an x, times x. And then we're going to do 4, which is 4 times 1. So as you can see, they have a 4 in common. So the greatest common divisor is 4, and that's your answer. For number 10, we are going to list down 14x to the 3rd. That's 2 times 7 times x times x times x. Because we have x to the 3rd, that's x times x 3 times. And then we have 7x squared. So that is 7 times, times x, because it's x squared. And now we're going to look for what they have in common. So we have a 7 in common, we have an x in common, and we have another x in common. So if you multiply that all together, that means the greatest common divisor is 7x squared. And this is your answer. Okay, so for number 13, we're going to list all 3 of these terms. So we have 8d to the 3rd, so that's 2 times 4, and if we break down 4, that's 2 times 2, so 2 times 2 times 2 times d times d times d. Okay, let's do 4d squared. That's 2 times 2 times d times d. Okay, and let's look at 12d. That's 2 times 6, which is 2 times 3, times d, because there's one d. So let's look for what they have in common. They have a 2 in common, they have another 2 in common, and they have a d in common. Okay, so when we multiply that all together, we have 2 times d, and that equals 4d, and this is our answer. Okay, so for number 16, we want to factor each polynomial. So we start off by looking for the greatest common divisor. So 8x is 2 times 4 times x, and 10 is 2 times 5. So if we look for what they have in common, they both have a 2 in common. So you're going to write that first. So you're going to write 2 parentheses, and then you're going to look for the rest. So 4 times x, we're going to keep these separate. That's 4x. We're going to bring down the plus sign, so plus. and then the leftover from the 10, which is 5. So that's going to be 5. So this is your answer, 4x plus 5. Okay, let's look at number 19. So let's break down x to the third. That is x times x times x. Now let's break down 5x squared. That is 5 times x times x. So if you look for what they have in common, they have this x in common and this x in common. And x times x equals x squared. So the number that we're taking out is x squared. And we're going to write our parentheses, and we're going to take the leftover from the first one. That's x. We're going to carry down this minus sign. So we're going to say minus, and we're going to take the leftover from 5x squared, which is 5. Okay, so this is going to be your answer, x squared times x minus 5. Let's look at 22. So we have 2w to the third. That's 2 times w times w times w. We have 6w squared. That's 2 times 3 times w times w. And then we have 4w. So that's 2 times 2 times w. So let's look for what they have in common. They have the 2 in common, and they have the w in common. Okay, so that means when we multiply that, 2 times w is 2w. So this is the greatest common divisor that we're factoring out, 2w. Now inside the parentheses, we're going to write the leftovers separately. So we have w times w, that's w squared. Okay, we have 3 times w, that's 3w. And then we have 2. So we're using this minus, so minus 2. So this is going to be your answer, 2w times w squared plus 3w minus 2. Okay, last problem, number 25. So we have 18c to the fourth. That is 2 times 9 times c times c times c times c, because there's 4 c's. There's 9c squared. That's 9 times c times c. And then we have 7c. So that's 7 times c. So even though the first two have these 9's in common, we can't factor it out because there's no 9 on the third row. All 3 of them need to have that in common. So that means the only thing all 3 of them have in common are these c's. So there's only one c that they have in common. So we are going to bring the c to the outside, and on the inside we're going to combine the leftovers. So we have 2 times 9 times c times c times c. That is 18c to the third. Okay, we're going to bring down this minus, and then we're going to take the leftovers of 9c squared. So that's 9 times c, that's 9c. So it's minus 9c. Okay, we're going to bring down this plus sign, and we're going to take the leftovers of the 7. So that is plus 7. Okay, so this is your answer. You have c times 18c to the third minus 9c plus 7. And this is your answer for number 25. And that is it for this section.